Welcome to Design Build Workshop and the Soul of the Workshop series, where we talk about tools that are important to the shop. Today we're talking about a very important tool to a blacksmith.
This anvil, solid, steady, unchanged, has stood beneath my hands for 22 years. Every strike, every project, every lesson, it holds them all. It's more than a tool, it's a foundation.
I purchased this anvil a little over 20 years ago, probably in the early 2000s. It's a brand new anvil, so I actually got it from the manufacturer. And Euro Anvil is the name of the producer that made these. They were produced in Czechoslovakia in the early 2000s. And the story that I had heard was that when the European Union was formed, Czechoslovakia did not become part of the EU originally. They are now. And what I was told was that there was a group of people from Pettinghouse that went across the border to set this shop up and produce cast steel anvils. And this is a German pattern and this German pattern. I also had heard it was set up by a man here in America, I think from South Carolina or North Carolina. And he was the one that was basically shipping these in. So he may be the one that was organizing this whole thing. Regardless, these aren't produced anymore as far as I know. I think they ended around 2007. When I was apprenticing for William Valerius in Chicago, Illinois, he had a German pattern anvil, a lot like this, almost the same size, that I'm sure was a Pettinghouse anvil. It was brand new also, but he'd had it for quite some time already. And it was in really good shape. And I really admired that anvil, and really had not seen an opportunity to pick one up like it that had everything that he had on that anvil. So he had the double horn, he had the scrolling shelf and the upset block, and it was just a wonderful anvil. I didn't get a chance to really use that anvil. He pretty much reserved that for himself. And so when I found these available on the Urbana magazine, the Anvil's Ring, back in the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, sometime around there, I saw this anvil and I was like, okay, this is great. And it has a really good deal price-wise compared to, buying a Pettinghouse or another new anvil from a Coleslaw or whatever, whoever was producing them at the time. And so this was a really good bargain as far as I'm concerned. It's a cast steel anvil, so it's a solid casting. Most anvils back in the day were cast iron with a hardened steel face. This anvil is hardened through, and it's got some pretty good bounce to it. It's hard enough for me, so I don't have an issue with it. And as far as the features of it, it's good and heavy. You've got a couple of Pritchett holes, and you've got a Hardy hole where you can put tools or a bending fork, whatever you need to have set up in here. You've got that all works. I've heard someone say that this was a little undersized. I didn't find that. Same thing with, someone had said there was a lot of, the paint was really poor on this and really thick or something. Didn't find that either. I went ahead and dressed it, which I think you're gonna have to do with pretty much almost any anvil, just to make sure that it's, you're nice and smooth and you don't have any nicks or anything. This one didn't have anything like that. It was in great shape. So I've got no complaints about this anvil, and it has been a great tool for me. The one I had before this was a 500-pound railroad anvil, which was nice to work on for the energy return and for the amount of mass that it had. However, moving that sucker around was a little too much. And then besides that, I had, I think, around a 175-pound anvil that was more of like the English pattern, where this is basically just cut off right here. But this has definitely by far been my favorite anvil. Thanks again for joining me on Design Build Workshop and the Soul of the Workshop series, and the look at my Euro anvil. If you have any questions or anything like that, please submit them in the comments. I would really appreciate if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time.
Some tools just feel right in the hand, not because of their weight or balance, but because of the stories they carry, the hands that held them before ours, the work they've done. A tool like this just doesn't survive, it earns its place.